I don't really know how to start this without sounding like I'm trying to justify myself. Honestly, I'm not. I'm just telling you what happened, because for a long time, I acted like it didn't. And if you're watching this, maybe you've made one choice you can't stop replaying. Mine was a robbery, and I thought it would stay a secret. Let me go back a bit. At the time, my life didn't look like a crisis from the outside. I had a job, nothing fancy, just enough to keep things moving. But behind the scenes, it was like everything was slipping. Late bills, debt stacking up, constant calls I stopped answering. I'd open my banking app and feel my stomach drop, then close it like that somehow fixed it. I won't lie. I started thinking in weird ways. Not, how do I work harder, but how do I get out of this fast? That kind of thinking is quiet at first. It feels practical, like you're just being smart. Looking back, that's the scary part. I didn't wake up one day as a criminal. I just kept lowering my own standards little by little until the line didn't feel like a line anymore. There was this store I used to pass all the time. Small place, same cashier most days, same routine. And my brain did this thing where it turned people into objects. Not fully, but enough. Enough to make it feel like a problem I could solve. I remember sitting in my car one night, hands on the steering wheel, telling myself, just don't be stupid. Like that was my moral compass. Not don't do it, just don't get caught. The moment itself wasn't like the movies. No dramatic music, no cool confidence. My mouth was dry. My hands were shaking. But I kept them low so nobody could see. I walked in like I belonged there, like it was just another customer. And the whole time, my head was screaming, turn around, leave right now. But my feet kept going. I did it quick. I took what I came for and I walked out. And when I got back to my car, I just sat there for a second, breathing like I'd been underwater. I felt sick, but also relieved. And I hate admitting that. I drove home and kept checking my mirrors like the cops were already behind me. The first few days after, I was convinced I'd pulled it off. Nothing happened. No knock at the door, no phone call. I went to work, laughed at jokes, acted normal. But inside, I was tense all the time, like my body didn't believe my own act. Then little things started popping up. A coworker casually mentioning they saw police near that area. A random question from someone like, "Did you hear about that store getting hit?" And I'd smile and go, "No way," while my heart was doing this uncomfortable pounding thing in my chest. Honestly, the investigation didn't feel real until I realized they weren't guessing. They were collecting. Cameras, timelines, patterns, stuff I didn't even think about because I was only thinking about my own panic, not how the world actually works. And then one morning, I heard a knock that didn't sound like a neighbor. It was firm, patient, like whoever was on the other side already knew I was there. I walked to the door, and I remember my hand hovering over the handle, and this thought hit me. If I open this, my life splits in two. I opened it anyway. When I opened the door, there were two officers standing there. Calm, professional, not angry. And for some reason, that made it worse. If they'd been yelling, maybe I could have matched that energy. But they weren't. They just said my name and asked if we could talk. I won't lie. In that moment, I still thought I could talk my way out of it. That's how deep denial can go. I invited them in, sat down, tried to keep my voice steady. They started laying things out one by one. Camera footage from outside, a description of my car, a partial plate number, timestamps that matched my phone's location data. Every piece felt small on its own. Together, it was heavy. Looking back, I think the worst part wasn't being caught. It was hearing my own weak explanations. I was just in the area. That's not what it looks like. I could hear how thin it sounded, but I kept going anyway. Like if I stacked enough sentences together, they might turn into innocence. They didn't. When they told me I was under arrest, I felt this strange quiet inside. Not panic, not shouting, just stillness. Like my brain finally stopped running and accepted it. The ride in the back of the car felt longer than it probably was. I stared at the metal grate in front of me and thought about how one decision had folded my life in half. Before, after. Court moved fast compared to how long I'd imagined it would drag out. My lawyer talked about financial stress, no prior record, a moment of desperation. The prosecutor talked about accountability, impact, consequences. I stood there feeling like both versions were true, and neither of them fully captured what was happening inside me. When the sentence came down, years in prison, I felt my chest tighten. Not because I didn't expect it, but because hearing it out loud makes it real in a way thinking about it never does. Prison isn't dramatic like TV. It's repetitive. It's fluorescent lights. It's noise that never fully goes away. Doors clanking. Voices echoing. The first night, I lay on that thin mattress staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. Not the robbery itself, but the moments before it. The steering wheel. The choice to walk in. The choice not to turn around. Honestly, guilt doesn't hit all at once. At least not for me. At first, I was defensive. I didn't hurt anyone. It wasn't violent. I kept minimizing it in my own head. But time has a way of stripping that down. You sit with yourself long enough, you start asking different questions. Not, why did I get caught? But, who was I becoming? That question bothered me more than the sentence. There were guys in there who wore their crimes like stories. I couldn't. I kept mine quiet. I started reading more. Not because I was trying to reinvent myself, but because I needed somewhere for my mind to go. I wrote letters I never sent. Apologies I didn't know how to deliver. Years passed slowly. Then suddenly, they hadn't. By the time my release date got close, I wasn't excited the way I thought I'd be. I was nervous. Prison had stripped me down to the basics. Out there, I'd have to build something again. And I didn't trust myself the way I used to. Walking out felt lighter physically, but heavier emotionally. I stepped outside those gates and the air felt different. Too open. Too unscripted. I'm not going to sit here and tell you prison magically fixed me. It didn't. What it did was force me to sit with the version of myself who chose wrong. No distractions. No shortcuts. Looking back, that robbery wasn't just about money. It was about how quickly I was willing to trade integrity for relief. And that's the part I carry now. Not the bars, not the sentence. The lesson. I used to think consequences were something you outran. Now I know they're something you outgrow. Slowly, painfully, if you're willing to look at yourself without excuses. I'm not proud of what I did, but I'm not hiding from it anymore either. And honestly, that's heavier than prison ever was.